I've come to witness the battle for Bajour in its third month. More than 8,000 Pakistan troops have been fighting in the valley, trying to push Al-Qaeda and the Taliban out of the town of Loasam, just 13 kilometers away. A walk outside the fort is a walk through a ghost town. Houses are empty, the shops are shut, the street vendor stalls are abandoned. A township of 11,000 people has been displaced by the fighting. For many, this is what Pakistan's war with the militants has brought. 400 families from Bajour fled across the border into Kunar province in Afghanistan. Another 300,000 people came to the camps inside Pakistan. Officials say 95 civilians have been killed. The government, the UN and charities, this one funded by British Muslims, have provided tents, blankets and food.
For the 12 person, our family, 12 people, just this and that. Yes, this.
These are all refugees from Bajour. Nurzada is a teacher from the militant-controlled town of Loasam.
When the war started, I was teaching. It was 12:30. When I came out, I could hear the army firing. Then the militants came, and they fired face to face. I got into the car and rushed home. When the bombs started and fell on our homes, we left at about midnight, and we traveled through the night over the mountains for 3 to 4 hours.
Before the fighting began, was the area where you were living, Loasam, dominated by the Taliban?
Before the war, the Taliban were in control. They controlled everything. They had Sharia courts that dealt with all matters completely according to Sharia law.
This is just one camp. Some refugees have gone to the cities. Visiting another camp an hour away, I find local families are helping from their own private resources. Umar Khan is one of them. He's been here every day with food provided by his mother and aunt.
Islam teaches us that all Muslims are brothers.
Yeah.
So the main reason why we are helping these people is that they are like our brother, like our family, and these are the poor people, nobody will help them. My mother and my aunt, they are just helping them by just taking funds from their families.
Right.
I feel very bad for these people because they have nothing to do with these all cases like, you know, terrorism, and you can see these all people, they got nothing. They didn't even got a single penny to buy food for themselves.
And none of them know when they'll be able to go home. Back in Bajour, the operations against the Taliban and Al-Qaeda continue. General Tariq is planning a big push against the militants' main base. He arrives with Colonel Zahid, who will lead the troops into the battle. Before the operation begins, the general rallies his troops with a reminder of how the Taliban have hijacked Islam.
सिलसिला ये है कि इन्होंने एक नया किस्म का इस्लाम शुरू किया। इस्लाम ने एक हक नहीं दिया कि किसी पर उंगली उठाए और बोले कि तुम अच्छे मुसलमान हो या बुरे मुसलमान। लिहाजा ये कौन है ये लोग जो सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं एक दूसरे को कि तुम शहीद हो जाओगे और तुम अच्छे मुसलमान हो, दूसरे लोग उनसे बुरे मुसलमान हैं। ये तो इस्लाम है कि है। और इससे पाकिस्तान को बचाने आप इन्फेंट्री का रोल क्या है? क्लोज विथ एंड डिस्ट्रॉय थ्रू स्किलफुल फायर पावर एंड मनूवर। है कि नहीं है? क्लोज विथ एंड डिस्ट्रॉय, ठीक है ना? उसको जाकर पकड़ना गले से और उसको वहां से बाहर निकालना अपने मुंह से। कर सकते हो कि नहीं कर सकते? बहुत क्या तुम लोगों का मोरल डाउन है। इनको अभी तैयार हैं आप लोग? इनको बता दो कि आ रहे हैं 63 FF आ रही है।
Colonel Zayed's men prepare their weapons for battle. From the security of the fort, their first objective might sound straightforward. The men have to take another mud-walled compound. It's only 800 meters beyond the village of Tankhata, which they already control. But similarly straightforward targets have cost many casualties in the past. It's just before dawn, and the main battle tanks have begun moving towards the front line, and this suggests that this is the main military push by the Pakistani army against the militants here in Bajor. Almost midday, but I've been told I can't go to the front line just yet. There are rumors that Colonel Zayed and his men have been ambushed by the militants. Casualties start to arrive, including a captured militant. This is the daily price of Pakistan's war in its own land. Since joining the so-called War on Terror, over 1,400 Pakistani soldiers have been killed and nearly 3,400 wounded. The Bajor campaign is a powerful answer to anyone doubting Pakistan's commitment to this war. As a new battalion leaves for the front line, I'm finally allowed to go forward with them. Watching the men going into attack, I wonder what the day will bring for them, and whether all of them will make it back. Suddenly, tanks come charging down the road from the front line. The troops are moving forward very slowly, as you can see, down towards Tankhata, which is just a few kilometers, but you may be able to hear there is still quite a lot of heavy fighting going on. You can hear small arms fire, heavy machine guns and mortars from both sides, and we just learned that the tanks that came back quickly up the road had come under very heavy fire. As the firing gets closer, the soldiers pull back.
सर वो आगे हैं सर रशकाई वाली साइड से और वो तो सेफ एंड साउंड है हैवी आ रहे हैं सर वो फिजिकल रेट तो होते रहते हैं रात को लेकिन
I think what's happened is that the tanks who came driving up the road incredibly quickly came under an ambush, and the tank commander is just giving the field command back up the road details of what happened, but he's obviously still quite shaken, understandably. Suddenly the situation has changed. It seems that the Taliban have counterattacked. The orders are to retreat to base. I think the shocking thing of today was seeing the audacity and the daring nature of the militants, how they, ferociously re-attack positions they were driven from only a few days earlier. And as a result of their hit-and-run tactics that we saw for ourselves, 2 Pakistani soldiers are dead, 7 are wounded, one of them critically. From the front line in Bajor, I returned to Peshawar. I've heard that after I left, Colonel Zaid and the men I had seen go into battle came under heavy fire again. The fighting lasted 3 hours, and in the end, 7 of his men were killed, 27 wounded. One of the wounded was Colonel Zaid himself. His right foot was so badly injured that it's been amputated. In the military hospital here in Peshawar, I found his wife Uzma by his bedside, along with friends.
What happened? We were going for the compound, which were occupied by the miscreants. Yeah. And over there I got a mortar shell and 2 bullets in my right foot. So they tried their best to oppose.
Well, it's a big sacrifice. It's a very big sacrifice.
These sacrifices we have to make for the country, for the religion, more important.
More important.
Yeah.
We are not scared of sacrifices. See, you joined the army to serve the country. So that's no problem. We are not scared.
She's more brave than me.
There speaks a soldier's wife, glad at least that her husband is alive. But that grit captures the mood of Pakistan's army today.
Okay, thank you very much.
The gravity of what's happening in Bajaur is being felt in Islamabad. President Zardari has called a meeting of the elected politicians from the federally administered tribal areas known as FATA to try to work out what can be done to bring stability to the region.
People have this impression that this is a law and order situation, whereas it is not a law and order situation. This is a full-fledged insurgency going on in FATA. In order to have peace and stability in FATA, peace and stability in Afghanistan is a must. Right now there's a lack of confidence between the two countries in the leadership, so we need to do something for that. Some bridging needs to be done.
This business of drones has once again created suspicion among the people. That's why hatred for Americans is growing. And we would say to the Americans and the NATO forces that they should understand that this area has been a victim of war for years. This area has been the front line of the Russian war. And we need them to start thinking of development and improving the lives of the people. And above all, to listen to their grievances.
The American drone attacks have greatly inflamed the situation, and Washington is still pressuring the government to do more to destroy Al-Qaeda and Taliban sanctuaries in the tribal areas. But President Zardari knows he has to deliver development to achieve a lasting solution.
We've got to get them special concessions. We've got to put in industrial bases there. We've got to put in proper units to employ the youth. Today, the militants pay more than we can pay our soldiers. They're that rich. So one has to make the region understand that it's in their own interest, in the interest of the future generations.
One way the government hopes to turn the tide against the militants is by supporting local tribal leaders, the Maliks, who want to take on the Taliban. The government has taken a gamble and has armed local units of tribesmen known as Lashkars. One of the biggest has been formed by the Salazai tribe in East Bajaur. On the way back to Bajaur, I've stopped off in Salazai country to meet them. They claim to have 4,000 fighters. Once they supported the Taliban, but turned against them when they started killing Salazai tribal leaders.
We don't know why they are doing this. We don't know what they want, what their purpose is, or why they are destroying the peace here. They are killing Maliks and local people.
What is the way forward for ordinary people?
The Lashkars have done all they can to bring about peace and will continue to bring about peace. But in the end, it's the government's responsibility to bring about overall peace in this area and to provide security for the people. We will do what we can to support all the security agencies, whether it's the Bajaur Scouts, the Bajaur Police, or the Army, inshallah.
Now, a sense of normality has returned to the Salazai area, a confidence. The shops are now open. The Lashkar here is all-powerful and on guard to make sure the Taliban don't return. This could be a turning point in the fight against the Taliban, but the fear remains that tribal militias could become too powerful and turn against the government if their hopes aren't satisfied. After 3 weeks, I am back at the Bajor fort and things have moved on. I'm allowed to meet prisoners the army believes to be Taliban.
And these are some of the POWs that have been captured recently over there.
These men are still being investigated, so they can't be named.
Assalamu alaikum.
I came to the local bazaar and there were 7 or 8 talibs there. And they said, you take these machine guns and go and give them to talibs at a nearby place. I said, no, I can't do it. You do it yourself. Then a Taliban by the name of Muhammad Zada said, I know you and the village that you come from. And if you don't do it, we will not let you go and we will kill you. So I went, and on the way saw soldiers. They said to put down the weapons and arrested me. And another soldier came and blindfolded me and tied my hands.
All of these men deny they are with the Taliban. All have a similar story to tell. Across the fort, in the operations room, General Tariq is reviewing the plan of attack.
Tanks can support him from here. He can move outflank this Nala further from the north. I would like him to use his battalion mortars here. He uses tanks out here. He starts moving from here and start fire and move also from the front. There should be no problem, right?
We've inched our way up to Loisam, and we are now almost at the outskirts. As long as this doesn't go on to the air tomorrow, we are about to start with our main offensive tomorrow morning. I think we have a consensus at the national level, and that is the corner we have turned, and the people and the tribes have decided to stand up. I think they have the confidence to do so. If you look at it from a global point of view, this is a global war on terror, and it does have a share in this. So I think by getting this under control, there would be some peace, at least inching forward, I would say, at the global level.
I am back on the same road to Loisam. In the past 3 weeks, the army has taken the road bit by bit. And I've not been beyond this point before. I catch the sound of shooting and duck for cover. Eventually, we get to the front line. It's the last compound before the town of Loisam, held by the militants. The soldiers are securing the compound. The bulldozers have moved in. Colonel Anjum is leading the operations here.
This is the place which is called the Rashakai. Rashakai was the strong hub of miscreants.
Of the Taliban?
Of the Taliban. In fact, they were sitting here, they were posing a lot of problems to us. In fact, there were a lot of tunnel system here.
Right.
They were well linked. Okay.
Right.
And Alhamdulillah, today we have captured this.
Yeah.
And we intend going with a smooth speed.
So you've just captured this?
Yeah, just now.
This just now.
You please go back now.
Okay.
The army does not want us here because, in fact, we've come further than we're supposed to have been. This is very much an active line. As the Colonel was saying, they've only just taken this position today. Let's go, actually, there's some firing.
As I leave, the army is putting everything into the fight in the final push to rid Loissem of the militants. It's taken them 3 months to seize back Bajor. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda have been forced away from the Afghan border, but they are now closer to the major cities. My journey here has really changed my perceptions about this war on terror and what it means for Pakistan.
We are suffering the maximum. We have killed the maximum.
The fighting here has shown the militants they can't set themselves up as the alternative rulers in the tribal areas. This is no longer a proxy war for the West. This is now a war for Pakistan's sovereignty and democratic system.
I will take the writ of law to the ends of the last borders post of Pakistan.
But for many Pakistanis, this reality is obscured by deep resentment of American interference in Pakistan's affairs and what they see as the arrogance of American power.
अगर इसी तरह जिहाद जारी रहा तो अमेरिका भी ज़ेरो पावर बन जाएगा. वो सुपर पावर नहीं, सुपर पावर सिर्फ अल्लाह ही हो सकता है.
In the end, fighting cannot resolve the conflict. But while the leadership of Al-Qaeda survives and has Taliban support, this destructive war looks set to continue here.
They can't remain forever. They can't terrify the whole world.
Ultimately, the only real hope will be a common desire to move beyond differences, to build peace in a democratic Pakistan, and a chance for the development it so desperately needs.